You are now listening to the Where's the Line podcast with Joseph West and Britt Dillard. Enjoy the show.
Milton gonna take a shot wide open and just strutting in is Keaton. Joe Milton does it again.
Borgie again on a blitz. Levis pocket collapses. He's on the run. He just heaves it up. And it's intercepted by Vanderbilt. And let the celebration begin. The streak is over at 26. The Commodores win it.
Talk about Vanderbilt football. All I gotta say, and you're going to hell. Bye.
Another edition of Where's the Line? It is Tuesday, September 3rd. This is episode number 135. My name is Britt Dillard, joined here by Joseph West. How are you today, brother?
Britt, I'm 1-0. I'm 1-0. I mean, that's all the people really need to know is that I'm 1-0. How are you?
That's crazy because I'm also 1-0. And how many times in the history of this podcast, going into its fourth season, I might add, how many times has that happened? Where we're both victorious.
We not often. Week one, it's been, obviously most time you're playing lesser opponents, so it's been more of a commodity. But also just want to start the pod by just giving everybody a glimpse of this right here. Heard that a lot on Saturday, so just wanted to say that as well.
Well, not too much. I do need to add a disclaimer. Glaze warning.
Glaze warning?
Glaze warning it's Joseph West stage 4 glaze warning, Britt Dillard stage 4 glaze warning, incoming. I just want to put that disclaimer out.
I'm not going to lie. I think for some reason when Vanderbilt wins games they're not supposed to win, my analysis does get about 25 times better. I think I really dive deep into the games. I try to understand what went good, what went bad. There were still things to clean up from this game, but even I texted Britt at 2:00 just about an hour ago. I just finished up watching the UT game. I watched the NC State game last night to give a breakdown on it. So I'm ready to go. This is going to be information packed. This is going to be energy packed, kind of like the boys in Section F on Saturday. I've been excited for this podcast since Saturday. Even in the first quarter, I was already thinking about the podcast, about just everything we were going to get to talk about. I'm so excited. Britt, how was your Labor Day? We are coming off a long weekend, not for you though. I know you had to work.
Yeah, I spent my Labor Day in a truck. It kind of sucked. I had a severe FOMO seeing all my brothers and sisters in Neyland Stadium, but nonetheless, I'm blessed to have a job.
Did you not go to the game this weekend?
I was at work.
Okay, I wasn't aware that you had to work. I apologize. I was not aware. Okay, got it. So first off, say this. I've had two people text me about some NFL news. I'm not gonna lie. This podcast is just pretty much mainly switched over to just college football. I have not gotten any NFL news. I don't care about NFL right now, just being honest. I'll care on Sunday when the Raiders come on TV. Until then, I don't care. I only care about the Doors right now. It's just kind of how it is. I apologize in advance. But anyways, enough beating around the bush. Let's get right into what happened Saturday. Unless Britt has something to say, which it looks like he does.
I just want to slow down a little bit. I don't want to get corporate too quickly here.
Okay.
I mean, we're both coming off pretty exciting weekends.
That is true.
In football. So I think we should bask in it a little bit, Joseph. Vanderbilt, I said Virginia Tech ain't I said, we're overhyping Virginia Tech. I mean, they're a good team. They're a solid team, whatever. Come on. 14 points, 13.5 points. No. And we were all over the Vandy plus 13.5.
We were. And I even said, listen, my bets didn't do well that last week. I went 2 for 5. Just go ahead and get that out of the way too for me. I went 2 for 5 last week. In the bets that I gave on this pod. If you sprinkled the Vanderbilt money line like I told you to, if you just threw 15, 20 bucks on it, you made all your money back and more. So I know for sure 2 people text me. Shout out Matthew Jones. He tailed the Vanderbilt money line, made some good money. So I know he was listening and did that. Shout out to him. Harrison Davis let me know he was on the Vanderbilt point spread too, but was also on the under, so didn't hit his. The under did not hit. It's definitely a big week. Huge for different reasons, which I'll get into kind of talking, but obviously for UT, you have Nico showing up, trying to show out against an opponent that he should show out against, that he should look good against. And I don't think that's saying anything negative about him, just saying that much lesser opponent, you should look good, but it's still exciting. You have a new guy coming in to lead the offense, coming from Joe Milton last year. And then with Vanderbilt, you're playing a team that was favored to win the ACC by several people, was a dark horse for the college football playoff by several people. And
Yes.
you come off and you get a big win as 2 touchdown underdogs. I don't think you can overstate how important this win was for Vandy. This wasn't the perfect game by Vandy, which I'll get into, but to see the way that Vanderbilt won this game was just so special. To get to see it with a bunch of guys who deserved this moment. I texted Britt that during the game at halftime. Actually, I said a lot of guys in this stadium just deserved this moment. I'll stick by that statement. I think they did, myself included. I guess it's kind of selfish to say I deserved this moment. But yeah, I mean, it was such a magical weekend. If you're a Vanderbilt Commodores fan, it really was. To see what this team is, to have fun watching your football team was awesome. This episode's gonna have a lot of energy, but that's just an opening statement.
I just wanted you to have that little moment. Speaking of gambling, I went 3 for 5 on the week. I had one of my best weekends ever, money-wise, gambling. And if it weren't for Michigan kind of being lackluster this weekend, I would have done a lot better. But we can go ahead and get into Tennessee, UTC, if you're cool with that, Joseph.
That's awesome. Let's do it.
So Tennessee won, obviously, 69-3. All the talk is Nico coming out of the weekend. I don't want to put my chest too much. I've been on Nico since day one, and the guy's a 5-star quarterback, number 2 in the class. Like, I know that's not a stretch to say he's going to be good, but many people doubted Nico last year, especially. I was not one. Nico looked great. I'll get into some takeaways. Just kind of touch on it momentarily here. Take everything with a grain of salt. You're playing UTC. Like I said, you can't really learn much from playing them, but a lot of teams across college football struggled with teams UTC's level. I mean, your opponent next week, we'll get into it in a minute. NC State struggled with a FCS team. Oregon, 3rd-ranked team in the country, struggled with an Idaho team that I don't think anybody really had on their radar. Michigan struggled. Ohio State struggled for a half with Akron. But it's always good to come out of a game feeling good, especially Tennessee. I mean, there's been a lot of these games, even with Josh Heupel, these FCS teams have given you a little bit of trouble. But my first takeaway, D-line seems to be as advertised. James Pierce only played 10 snaps, and you still looked very good. Tyree West kind of was the star of the D-line Saturday. And kind of along with that, your secondary has improved. I think I can say that pretty confidently. It's improved. Boo Carter looked good. Several guys looked good in the secondary. Will Brooks looked good. That's my first takeaway. Number 2, I think the running back room is in better shape than we thought. Cam Seldon and Dylan Sampson both looked good. And then Bishop and your backup 3rd and 4th string look good too. Running back room's fine. Your offense is fine. Third takeaway, Nico. Nico's really good. Made some big time throws. played a quarter or a half of football, looked very good. I've been saying it. I think Nico is a top 2 quarterback in the country. And I don't think he's number 2.
Okay.
I think Nico's the best quarterback in the country. And I'm not trying to overrate the guy, but I think he's the best quarterback of my lifetime at Tennessee.
So Britt Dillard is pulling what Josh Pate tells you not to do in week 1. That's what Britt Dillard is doing right now. And when I'm talking about Vanderbilt, I promise if I do it, I want Britt to call me out. I'm going to try really hard not to. So listen, I don't know how much conclusions you can draw from week 1, like absolute conclusions, like saying someone is the best quarterback in the country. And I'm not coming at Britt for saying that. He's with 5,000 other people, analysts right now that are already talking about who's the best team in the country. Let me tell you this. You just don't know. You don't know. A lot of teams played absolute scrubs team. I mean, UTC had absolute nobody on the field, on the whole entire field, that belonged on the field with Tennessee. Also the comparison to like Fresno State to UTC, I think was a far stretch for Britt. I don't think he meant that they were in the same category, but just at least with Fresno State, you have guys that you're like, oh yeah, they belong on the field with Michigan. Like they had a wide receiver make some really good plays. I was like, oh yeah, he could. I
said it. I don't think I disparaged Michigan. I just said
they
didn't struggle.
You didn't. You just said they struggled, but I was just saying Fresno State and UTC not on the same level of struggling. Like if you struggle with UTC, that's one thing. If you struggle with Fresno State, they're a much higher program. They've done things. They're just not on the same level. Was kind of my argument there. But I literally put as my takeaways from this UT game is there are no takeaways. There are no takeaways from this game, in my opinion. I can't draw any conclusions at all from what I've seen, except for this. Dylan Sampson is really good at football. 7 runs on the first drive. Nico threw, I think, 2 passes, I believe, on the first drive. That was it. It was basically all on the ground, running it down their throat. Exactly what you want when you're bringing a new quarterback in for the first start of the season. So great job, first of all, by Heupel. And is he actually calling the plays this year, or is he relinquished to someone else?
I think Josh Heupel's been calling the plays all along. I just think his playbook was different with Joe Milton than it is. And I'm not. I mean, that's the dead horse has been beaten. We've beaten Joe Milton too much. We all know that he sucked.
Yeah.
But the playbook has opened up. There was plays Saturday with Nico that we haven't seen.
Yeah. Nico threw. I will say one thing that caught my eye. I actually went back and watched it 5 times. I went back and watched this play 5 times. Nico threw a pass down to the 4-yard line to Brew McCoy. It was an RPO. That was the only route ran. It was the only route available to throw to. I couldn't believe it. I went back and watched it 5 times to make sure. The 2 receivers on the right literally ran dummy routes. They didn't even look at the quarterback. They were not getting the football. It was a one route. It was either a handoff or you were slinging it to McCoy. He made the right read. They blew up the run. He threw it to McCoy. It was a good read.
Great throw, great catch too.
Great catch. He did. He rose up to make the catch. Good hands from Brew. There. I'll say this. Nico made, per PFF Analytics, he made 2 big time throws, which is basically where you're throwing in a window, certain amount of whatever time or space, whatever it is. I don't know exactly how they grade it, but he made 2 big time throws. One of them was when UTC had dropped into a cover 3 and he threw it in between 3 dudes. Great throw. Best throw of the day by far. I saw it a lot on Twitter. So that throw was really promising. The throw to Brew was promising too. That was another good throw. Just running through my list here. Basically I had a couple points here. How much can you really get from this game? I said there are no takeaways. Dylan Sampson looked good. Agreed with Britt. The backup running backs looked good in the 3rd and 4th quarter as well. I have my 4th point here was let me play devil's advocate, which is what I kind of started out saying, which is I had a quick head shake from Britt, which I enjoyed. But yeah, let me play the devil's advocate really quick. Was Nico, I would say I didn't go back and count every single play, but just off the top of my head that I could remember, out of all of his throws, I would say on 80% of them in the first half, his first read was there. His first read was just there. He didn't have to look anywhere else. He didn't ever have to fret. On the long Dante Thornton catch, touchdown catch he had, it was, and he may have had more than one touchdown, but on the one down the sideline, that was his first read. He looked there, boom, hit him. Oh yeah, Dante Thornton across the middle one time too, when he had his second touchdown, was also, I believe, his first read on that play. I have to go back and watch to make sure. You're not going to get that luxury when you play SEC teams, and I'll kind of comment on that for Vanderbilt as well, not to think that I'm being biased, but there's more to see for Nico, I think, before I crown him as like a top 3 quarterback or even top 5 in the country right now. I saw, honestly, a pretty good amount of pretty good quarterback play for week 1. I'm excited to see kind of what quarterbacks do. I think the quarterback play in college has been not great the last couple years. So I'm excited to see what quarterbacks can do here.
No, when Carson Beck is the crown jewel of the quarterback class, you know that there's something going wrong.
And he looked good. He did look really good. He really pretty much made all the right plays. Carson Beck made little to no mistakes. I was really impressed with Georgia's offense, honestly, and I hate to say that they do have London Humphreys.
Yeah, and I was wondering about that today. I was thinking about London Humphreys, oddly enough. Kind of touching on some things you said. Yeah, the coverage is going to be tighter as you get into SEC play, and I mean next week against NC State, the coverage is going to be tighter. You said he made 2 big throws, or Pro Football Focus said he made 2 big throws. Big time throws have not really been a concern for Tennessee. I mean, against
That's
Alabama
true.
last year, the Joe Milton throw to Squirrel White is probably one of the best throws I've seen in the past few years from Tennessee. It was literally a perfectly placed ball. What excites Tennessee fans is every other throw, and the amount of catchable balls that we saw from Nico is the big improvement from last year to this year. The amount of catchable balls. Also, I think your receiving room is just flat out better. I think Brew McCoy in the offseason obviously had to work hard to get healthy, but he dropped some weight. He's looking slimmer. He's looking faster. The addition of Chris Brazzell, I think, is a big one. We saw him a lot Saturday. Dante Thornton, another guy coming back from a bad injury last year, looked really good. And I mean, that's not even mentioning Squirrel White.
I thought he looked skinnier.
Who?
I'm not saying that he did. Dante Thornton. I thought for some reason he just looked small. I was like, I don't know. For some reason, I just thought he was a little bit bigger. Like he was leaner last year, I felt like. And that could have just been a figment of my imagination. But I just felt like he looked bigger last year. When he caught that first touchdown pass, I was like, who is that with the chicken legs? I thought it was a freshman. I literally thought it was a freshman. I had to double take and make sure it was Dante.
This team looks completely different. I mean, Dante grew his hair out. We've got different numbers for Brew and Squirrel. Chris Brazzell's out there running around making plays. Obviously, you've got Nico throwing the ball. It's just a different look team, and it gets me really excited. I think Tennessee's gonna be really good. Yeah,
and I don't think there's any fault with saying that, with like getting excited at all. I would be the same way. It 100%. I'm glad that Vanderbilt didn't play like a Hawaii this year, like we did the last 2 years, or like a UTC or Alcorn State that we'll be playing this week. Really glad that we opened it up with more of a test, just because there's no false hope. There's no false conclusions. I still think I'll get into it in a second. Let's continue on UT. I almost went on a ramble. But yeah.
I mean, not much on Tennessee. More in the preview category, which we'll get to towards the end of this podcast. Yeah. But week 1, take away as much as you can. When it comes to drawing conclusions, week 1, I'm Pablo Picasso. So
yeah. There it is for UT. UT big win, 69-3, I believe was the final there. They did cover the spread if you bet that, which it was kind of hard to find most time when you're playing a team like that you can't find the spread. But anyways, in Nashville this weekend, as you can see behind me on that scoreboard right there, the Virginia Tech Hokies came to town. They had a lot of people. They had a lot of people in Nashville, that is for sure. There was a lot of Virginia Tech fans. Man, there's not a lot of places that you can start about this game that I would be unhappy with. I think you could talk about the defense. You could talk about the front 7 in the first half. You could talk about Diego Pavia. You could talk about Quincy Skinner. You could talk about the blocking from the tight ends. You could talk about the O-line. You could talk about so many different things in this game that Vanderbilt just blew me away with. And I would be like, yep, that 100%, that's so much better than last year. That's so much better. And I wouldn't be mad. Britt, would you like to start this, or do you want me to?
I'll start it.
Okay, I like that. Go ahead. I'll kind of chime in as I feel like it might be needed.
Now, I had to watch this game back. I watched some of it in the truck when it was happening, the end of the game, but I did go back and watch it yesterday. First of all, just right off the bat, the stadium looks good. Even though it's not done, it just looks good. It just looks like a more complete stadium, even though it's not complete yet. I thought Vandy's uniforms looked good. I thought the crowd sounded good on TV. Y'all were rowdy, and it came through. And there was even a moment. It was early in the first quarter. It may have been the first drive, and I could hear a defense chant starting, and I just thought, I was like, I guarantee you Joseph West had something to do with that chant, at least get it started. But yeah, so Vandy, I mean, they looked good coming out. The stadium looked good. And I mean, they jumped on them early, 17-0.
Yeah.
The first half.
Yeah.
And I have some things to get into, but I mean, the vibes had to be at an all-time high.
The vibes were definitely immaculate, especially in the first half. Obviously, at halftime, I literally went over to the guys with the door pour and I said, which they sit like 10 seats down from me, and I said, it's not going to be this easy, but man, that was a lot of fun. I mean, after the first half, it really was. To comment on some things that Britt talked about, the stadium, man, the north end zone looks freaking amazing. You can kind of see it here behind me. It is awesome. It really is awesome for like Trevor's dad, Mr. Tommy, to walk in and see that, who's been a Vanderbilt fan since the 70s. Like, for him to be able to walk in and see that is amazing. My dad, who's been a Vanderbilt fan his whole life, for him to walk in and see that is amazing. Things they never thought would happen. It's literally crazy. When they totally get done with this, Vanderbilt might have one of the best stadiums, not necessarily atmosphere. I can't talk and get other fans to show up to the game, but one of the best stadiums in the country. Like, the stadium is going to look really, really good. So that's a huge pro. Another thing, I actually loved our uniform look as well. I thought it was one of the better looks, kind of a slept on look, a look I normally don't talk about, but a look that was really good. Look good, play good, I guess. But I've got several points here, and I've got some takeaways from this game. Started off number one, if kind of my first point. Diego Pavia has that dog in him. I talked about it in the offseason. I talked about what I thought he could be. I talked about what I thought he might be. This is what he is. He's a dog. He has a mentality that you've seen from guys like Johnny Manziel. That's just his mentality. Baker Mayfield. That's him. That is his literal archetype. Short, small, undersized, been doubted his whole life, but he just makes the plays when he's got to make them. This dude, Vanderbilt's never had a guy like this. I am not overreacting at all when I say Vanderbilt has never had a quarterback like Diego Pavia. People were trying to tell me Jay Cutler. Jay Cutler was not like Diego Pavia. He just wasn't. Jay Cutler was a pocket passer. He was. He's just a gunslinger. He can make plays here and there. Diego Pavia is a playmaker. I've seen it. You saw it. I mean, he had 104 rushing yards. I think he was 12 for 16 with 190 yards passing. Like, he did everything you asked him to. Your game-winning score in overtime was him. Drove you down willed you to score in the fourth quarter, which I'll get to. Dude put the team on his back with 4 to go after we went down 27-20. Vanderbilt had lost 61 consecutive games when trailing in the fourth quarter. Diego Pavia broke that streak by coming back down 27-20 with less than 4 to go. The front seven on defense. I got on this podcast a year ago and told you all about Vanderbilt's front seven and how good Vanderbilt's front seven was going to be. That did not come to fruition last year. Matter of fact, our front seven was just downright bad last year. This year, it's everything I thought it was going to be last year from what I could see in week one. You played an opponent that was expected to beat you by 2 touchdowns. And quite frankly, in the first half, you had your way. Defensively, your front seven rocked. Your O-line bullied them around. That's just how it was in the first half. Next, the transfers. You can't say enough about this group of transfers. Luke Fonji came up with the big catch in the second half. In the fourth quarter, you had Corday Sidnor, big time plays rushing the passer. Zaylen Wood, big time sack in overtime, and a pressure on the final play. There's just not enough you can say about these transfers. Another guy who didn't play in the second half because he got into it with his own teammate, Colby Taylor, was absolutely great in the first half at corner. Just got taken out because Apparently, he's not even on the depth chart for Alcorn State, which I'll get to. But you're going to miss your best corner because of him arguing with the teammate. But also, I'm not mad about that. I'm not mad that he went off on somebody because they blew an assignment. You need that in the locker room. You need a guy who wants to win that bad. I know he needs to keep his emotions in check, 100%. But I'm not mad at him. That's just some. And Brandon Fontenette, another guy, number 2, who was all over the field in the first half, another transfer who just could not stop making plays in the first half. You didn't get your best from your best players. Langston Patterson played bad. C.J. Taylor played bad. Cole Spence was completely uninvolved in the offense. That's your 2 best players on defense and who you thought your best player on offense was going to be. You didn't see anything great from any of those 3 guys. For you to not see Vanderbilt's best players play really good or even play good, and for Vanderbilt to still win, I can't remember the last time I got to get on a podcast and talk about that. I don't know if I've been able to say that on this podcast while we've been doing this podcast. I really don't. I think you can just go through this list and say you've never seen a lot of this before. Next point. Oh, go ahead.
I'm just going to add on to your stuff instead of doing my own because I think we're going to be pretty similar. But like you just said, there's things that you haven't seen while we've done this podcast, and that's the key. And that's what I said last week. Vanderbilt, you're coming into this game, everybody's doubting you. It's new look. You've got new quarterback. You've got 2 new coordinators. You've got all these transfers coming in that are expected to contribute immediately. That's for Vanderbilt. That's such a good thing, and especially at quarterback with Pavia. Like you said, Vandy's never seen a guy like this, and he did some things that under normal circumstances I would say you shouldn't do. Like if it was Tennessee playing, there were some plays that I would say he was being reckless with the football or things like that. But I think that's what Vanderbilt needs, not to be reckless, but to take chances. Like if you have been bad for however many years, take chances. Just throw the ball out there and just see what happens. That throw that Vandy scored on in the 4th quarter to tie the game, that was a risky play. I mean,
backwards.
That is not successful very often. There's a few plays where he dropped the ball. I mean, he ran the ball 26 times. Like maybe get that number down. Maybe we can work on getting that down. But I mean, it's a guy that is just an injection of excitement for Vanderbilt, and that's what they need. I mean, the whole country's talking about Vanderbilt.
Yeah, which is actually kind of crazy. When I can tune in a Josh Pate's podcast and hear Vanderbilt content, when I tune in a Cover 3 podcast and hear Vanderbilt content, throw it over to ESPN, Vanderbilt upset over Virginia Tech, that means something. This is not just a win over Hawaii. This was a program-changing win. We had 2 of our biggest recruits. Actually, one of them had an OV set up to Virginia Tech this next weekend. He has canceled his OV to Virginia Tech this weekend. He says he's committed to Vandy. He's staying with Vandy. These wins cannot go understated, honestly, just what it did. Also, to comment on the crowd, Vanderbilt was 100% outnumbered with fans. We just were. It was probably 60-40, 65-35, something like that. But some positives. Vanderbilt had to turn down students to get in the game. I bet 30% of Vanderbilt students were in the place. That's unheard of. We have less than 8,000 undergrad, and I bet we had 2,000 students at the game. It was crazy. They had to start turning down students. Tech fans started getting thrown out of the other side of the stadium because they were getting in fights with students. I've never been able to say that before. Thank God. Let's go, students. Shout out to Vanderbilt student body. Showing up, showing support for your fellow peers in class. I love it. I cannot say enough things about the students, honestly. Shout out to the students. I've never seen that before. Section F was a freaking junkyard. Defense chants, who you with chants, every chant you could imagine. I was leading most of them, which is why I had no voice the last 2 days, literally until today. I finally got it back, which was good. But the vibes were phenomenal. Vanderbilt's fans that were there, the 35 to 40% of us that were in the building and were there, were loud. We were loud. We were just as loud as Virginia Tech fans. I don't say that to try to make us look better because we were outnumbered. We just were. But we were just as loud. And honestly, it was pretty much carried by the section that I'm in. The section that I'm in was loud. When I started to chant, it was like everybody was getting in on it. And before I knew it, it was loud. And I haven't gotten to see a lot of that as a Vanderbilt fan. That was just really awesome for me to be able to be there with my dad was awesome. I mean, I really can't understate the vibes and just exactly what this game was. Coaching, next point. Coaching is so much better. Oh my gosh, what a relief it is to watch the pre-snap movement, to watch you put your players in success to succeed. It is just, we haven't got to see that the last 2 years. That is a breath of fresh air. I thought we did get out coached in the second half. I thought Clark Lee didn't give us his best in the second half defensively, and that's okay because we won. It's not okay when we lose. It's okay if I don't get your best and we somehow come out on top. It's all right. If we would have lost this game, you would have heard me dogging C.J. Taylor. I would have been dogging Langston Patterson. I would have dogged Clark Lee's defense in the second half. There just wasn't enough in the second half. You did enough to get it done. That's what matters. This team's fun to watch, boys. This team was fun. I had texts coming in from people I hadn't talked to in a while, not even being jerks. Just text me and say, man, I'm watching Vanderbilt, and this game's been fun. Just seeing that from guys that aren't even fans like me, I'm like, man, you're right. It was just fun. It was fun to watch this team. This team, next point, this team can go bowling. This team is good enough to go bowling. I'm not drawing the conclusion that we're going to go bowling. I'm just telling you that we can. I had enough Saturday to say that we can. This team didn't die when they went down late in the fourth. This team gave Virginia Tech all they wanted and maybe a little bit more. I guess a little bit more because we won. Gave them all they wanted and more. And I just don't know if you can say enough. Diego Pavia, to comment on what Britt said, is reckless at times. I really enjoy it. The pass that he's talking to, he kind of threw it sideways / backwards to Cedric Alexander on the final touchdown in the fourth quarter. And earlier in the game, the exact same play basically happened, except he pump faked it. The defender jumped towards the running back and he took off running. He did that like 2 times earlier in the game. He was setting that play up. I don't think that happened by mistake. I think Diego knew what was going to happen. He knew that he had kept it twice. He knew the defense would come to him, and he just made a play because he's a playmaker. I can't say enough positive things about Diego Pavia, honestly. I mean, he willed this team single-handedly to victory. There's so much to clean up, though. I went through all the positives, basically. Let's go through some negatives. One, you got to have Colby Taylor back by the time you get to Missouri. Luther Burden and those boys are no joke. Going to need Colby Taylor to come back and to keep his emotions in check. 2, 3 of Virginia Tech's touchdowns were busted coverages. They did not beat you. They were not better than you. They scored because no one was around them and you did not know your assignment. That's unacceptable. I better not see that happen anymore. I expect a better ship from Clark. It's really simple. Now, one of those guys, Dante Carter, missed his assignment. He's a true freshman. It was his first game starting. I get that. No worries. But Rando blew a coverage, and one of our other corners blew a coverage. Brian Longwell, Randon Fontenette, we call him Rando.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Okay. And then Brian Longwell got beaten coverage several times. I know that's not really his specialty, but still, has got to try to clean it up or get Rinaldi in more often on passing downs. So there are definitely things that need to be cleaned up. The offense hit a lull in the third quarter. All of a sudden, we went away from some things. We couldn't move the football. That can't happen when you're Vanderbilt either. Got to give me 60 minutes of football. The biggest thing about this is that Vanderbilt, when I'm saying this stuff, it was busted coverages, it was this, it was that. I'm talking about these are the reasons that we lost. We did all this stuff and won the football game. This is different. This is a program-changing win for Vanderbilt. I think this win could not only alter the season, I think it could alter the future. All the donors got immediate gratification for their donations in portal. You need that at Vanderbilt. The guys in the suites, I got told in the North End Zone suites, the big donors were there basically together in a suite. They were happy. They were talking about coming back next week. We've never had that before. This was program changing. This was amazing. This was so much fun. I loved this team. I love this team. I love Clark Lee. I want him to get it done so bad. And I think he can with this football team. I think this team is special. And I'm not saying that we're going to go win 8 games. I've heard a couple crazy Vanderbilt fans jump to 7 and 8 wins. I think that's a little much for me. I don't think I'm there yet. I think I need to see you stack. I need to see you clean up. Fools draw conclusions in week 1. Okay? Wise men make observations. That's Josh Pate. I'm not saying that. That's Josh Pate quote. I'm just taking it. Fool. He's 100% right. No, because I think you're making observations for the most part. I've made observations from what I can tell. I think you got to build off Alcorn State. Don't come out here and mess around with them. Go dominate the next 2 weeks, and then you'll get Missouri when you get them. But yeah, I mean, that's basically my full recap. And I have 3 actual takeaways, but I just wanted to stop rambling and give you a second to chat on anything that you wanted to chat in on.
Thank you. First of all, that building behind you, that's a good looking building behind you. Shout out to Matt O'Neill.
Thanks.
Yeah, I almost agree more that it will shape the future more than this season. Just because like you said, I mean, it was tangible proof that Vandy can be exciting. They can win as an underdog. They can do all these things. Maybe do a little bit. We've got to protect the league a little bit better.
Yep. You can't break down. I agree.
Obviously, nobody at Vanderbilt's happy about blowing a 17-point lead. Protect the lead. Let's chill out a little bit, Diego, with the dancing. Now you're still. I almost said something mean. I almost said you're still Vanderbilt. That would have been cool to say, and I'm sorry that I apologize to you for even thinking that. But hey, Diego, you're still the new guy. Maybe chill out with the dancing. We like you. We still like you after week 1. But let's see some more.
Diego, I'm completely okay with Diego Pavia doing anything that he wants to do as long as we're winning. If we are winning, celebrate, flex on them, get a 15-yard
Vanderbilt.
If you're up by 21, dance in the end zone, get you a little 15-yard penalty if you want to. I don't care, but you've got to be winning, and you cannot cost us the game. His energy is, per Clark Lee, infectious in the locker room. The reason that you saw this performance from other guys was Diego Pavia was over on the sideline screaming at him, getting them fired up, leading by example. He's really the guy you want leading your, and I don't know what kind of human Diego Pavia is, but as far as leadership and the way he played on the field on Saturday, that's the guy you need at Vandy. It just is. You need a guy with a little spunk, a little Manziel, a little Baker Mayfield. You need a guy like that. I loved it. I won't say anything negative about Diego Pavia at all right now. I just can't.
If I was you, I wouldn't.
So that's that. I mean, as far as my actual takeaways, I had one. Diego Pavia is exactly what you need at Vandy. I mean, I've touched on that a lot, so I won't go too far into it. That was takeaway number 1. Takeaway number 2 is Clark Lee is a major upgrade from any other DC that we could have possibly gotten. Clark Lee's a very good defensive coordinator. To add to that, I think the secondary is a question mark if you don't have Colby Taylor. We'll see about the secondary. But number 3 for me, third takeaway is I'm having fun. I can't be that mad when I had fun. I mean, really, it's there was a lot of things to clean up, and Vanderbilt needs to get better. But this game was fun. You just got 8 votes in the AP poll to be ranked. I mean, I don't know when the last time we were talking about Vanderbilt even having a single vote to be ranked. I'm not even saying that means anything. I'm just saying 8 people at least believe that you have at least a kind of an argument to be ranked. That's all I'm saying there.
Well, we're set up for Vandy to be 4-0 going into Columbia, Missouri, and they probably 3-0. That's game 4. I was going to say they probably will be ranked. I don't know about 3-0 though.
Yeah,
but
well, just because.
But in that moment, even at 3-0, like we saw it with Vanderbilt in 2017, like there's still a ton of work to do. I'm not trying to be that guy.
No, for sure.
For your sake, I want to see Vanderbilt playing a bowl game.
And I think there's a real possibility. I think this game was more about Vanderbilt and less about Virginia Tech. And I've said last year, I said several times, this was more about the other team. It just is sometimes. I said it in UT games. I said it in Vanderbilt games. So a lot of times it's just the guys that you were playing were just better than you. They had a better quarterback than you. Their secondary is better, whatever. This game was just more about what Vanderbilt did. They outcoached them. Diego Pavia outplayed Drones. The D-line wanted it more. They just outworked you. It was really and truly, it was just more about what Vanderbilt did. And I think that's what keeps the hope alive for Virginia Tech. I still think it's a better team than Kentucky. I think Virginia Tech's a better team than South Carolina. I think Virginia Tech's a better team than Auburn. I just think they're better than those 3 teams. You win all your 4 out of conference, you win those 3, that's 7. I'm not saying Vanderbilt gets there, but there is 100%, I agree with Britt, more work to do. There just is. And you see that when you play a Power 4 team. It's never going to be perfect, but yeah, I mean, it's exciting. It just is exciting. Shout out to all the Vanderbilt fans listening. You deserved this. Bask in it. You've got more days to bask in it. Come Saturday, though, it's time to stand on business.
Okay, that's your week 1 recap.
There it is. There's the recap. Take a quick break. Go grab yourself food. Maybe you're listening to this going into work. Take your little break. Pause it. Go get you something. Go get you a little break, a little snack, a little drink, and we'll be right back with the week 2 breakdown. NC State versus Tennessee and Vanderbilt versus Alcorn State. We're back. We're back.
We're back. Yep. I hope you enjoyed your break. Did you enjoy your break, Joseph?
I loved my break. Britt, did you enjoy yours?
No.
Just
let's get into
talking football. Yes. Nonetheless, let's get into it. Like I said, just kind of talked about it. Vanderbilt taking on Alcorn State this upcoming weekend. FCS opponent here. Alcorn State's not good. Really and truly, I'm going to make this super simple because I went on for a long time about Vanderbilt's week 1 game. This should be a blowout. Vanderbilt should easily handle this game. I should get to see some Nate Johnson. I should get to see some Drew Dickey. I should get to see several things that I didn't get to see or think about last week. Give the young guys some reps. I want to see AJ Newberry. I want to see Seti get some rest. I want to see Diego Pavia not run as much. Keep him healthy for SEC play. He's going to have to run when you play SEC teams. He's going to have to. So keep him as healthy as you can until you get there. Diego Pavia run a little less, throw a little more, hopefully. Get your playmakers involved. I want to see Cole Spence. I want to see Eli Stowers. I want to see Cameron Johnson. I want to see Luke Fonji, Junior Sherrill. I want to see all those guys getting active this week. Corday Sidnor is going to miss the game. It's maintenance. He's been dealing with an ankle problem. He played against Virginia Tech anyways. He's going to miss this week to be safe. Colby Taylor, like I said, not on the depth chart. He is not going to play. He is suspended basically for this game. Do expect to have him back against Georgia State. But regardless, the guys who played well, Tyson Russell had a good game last week. D-line played really well. Build on it. Don't play around. Don't lose any momentum. With all that being said, here's the 3 keys. 1 key is stay healthy. Really simple. Don't get any key contributors hurt. Need everybody you can. Also, we're Vandy. We're going to be outmanned all year. So need everybody we can to be healthy. That's the first thing. Key number 2 is run the football. Dominate in the trenches. I want to see O-line and D-line dominating. Key 3 is, like I kind of talked about, I want to see the main guys. I want to see them get back to where they were. I'm not worried about them. They're talented. CJ Taylor, Langston, Cole Spence, all those guys. Give me those guys in full effect. Give me a big win. Vanderbilt 49, Alcorn State 3.
Oh, dang.
Really simple there. Really simple breakdown there from me.
That would be best case scenario. That'd be awesome.
Yes. Keep building the momentum.
Breaking news, Lady Vol head coach Kim Caldwell announces pregnancy.
That's crazy.
Okay. Are we good, Vandy Alcorn State?
Yep, good there.
Okay, a little bit more stakes in the Tennessee game this week. Your first real test.
Roles reverse.
Will come in the form of North Carolina State in Charlotte. Neutral site game somewhat. Tennessee opened up at early lines at the beginning of summer was Tennessee -4, Tennessee -4.5. Last week, it was up to Tennessee -6.5. And then this morning, Tennessee -8 as of Tuesday morning. It'll probably go up from now to then. Total points is set at 60.5. Primetime ABC Saturday. NC State is a solid team that struggled last week against Western Carolina, I believe, an FCS team. Struggled early, pulled away at the end. NC State's a talented team. They've got Grayson McCall at quarterback. Kevin Concepcion is a very good receiver. He had a good showing last week. Got a transfer running back from, I don't remember from where, Waters. He's a really good player. Got Joe Lee from UConn last year. Tennessee fans remember playing UConn. Their tight end that was so good is now at NC State. And they got Noah Rogers from Ohio State at receiver. They've got players. They have a good coach, Dave Doran. Won 9 games last year and returned a whole lot. I think almost close to 20 players from last year. So they're a veteran team, a good team last year. I feel good about Tennessee's chances coming into the game. But like I said, it's your first big test. We'll learn more about this team. We'll answer a lot of questions going into this game. Do you have anything, Joseph?
Yeah, I have a pretty good amount here, which I'll just kind of go one thing at a time to make sure Britt gets all his UT knowledge in that he can, or UT words in that he can. Starting off as my first thing, Jordan Waters. Britt mentioned him. He's the running back at NC State. Arguably their best player on offense. However, I don't know how much it's going to matter. Like Britt talked about, tight end from UConn, really solid player. Grayson McCall, I think, is a solid quarterback. And Waters is a above solid running back. All those guys I think are good. It really doesn't matter, though. NC State's offensive line and defensive line was just straight up garbage against Western Carolina. They could not move the football. In the first 3 quarters, they ran the ball 23 times for 79 yards, averaging less than 3.5 yards per carry against Western Carolina. I mean, that's really bad. You could not move Western Carolina's defensive line. I can't imagine the struggles they're going to have with Tennessee's defensive line if they couldn't move Western Carolina's defensive line. So that's the first thing. I know it's week 1. I'm not drawing conclusions about NC State, but just to recap their game, if you didn't watch the game and I just had to tell you a couple things to get it, I would just tell you NC State could have won by a lot more, but they could not control the trenches. Not defensively, not offensively. It's really that simple for NC State. They have playmakers on both sides of the ball, yet their trenches were just not there in week 1.
And Tennessee, I mean, like I said earlier, James Pierce played 10 snaps. So fresh legs, James Pierce, Tyree West. Tennessee played, I think, 18 players on the defensive line Saturday. Now, that'll be more of a 12, 13-man rotation this Saturday, but nevertheless, that's an important matchup. It is in every game, O-line, D-line matchup.
The big uglies.
That always matters. I think one of the more important matchups and probably the most concerning for Tennessee is Grayson McCall versus our secondary. Just not knowing exactly what we have there. Grayson McCall's thrown for 10,000 yards in his career. Like, this guy's been around. He's been good. Not only has he been playing a long time, he's been a decent player his whole career. So that's a big matchup to look out for sure. I'll get into some keys. Number 1, I think you've got to get Nico comfortable early. Now, luckily, it's not a true road game. I think there will be a ton of Tennessee fans there. Get Nico comfortable early. I'm not sure if he needs that. I don't know. We just don't know what Nico looks like. We don't know what he looks like, really, on the road.
Fair.
Get him comfortable early. Short passes, run the ball. We're going to do that. That's number 1. 2, contain the receiver, Concepcion. Contain that man. He looked good last week. That'll be a big matchup. 3rd key, pressure McCall. Like Joseph said, NC State's O-line was a weak point in week 1. I expect our D-line to feast. I expect Tennessee to win big. I expect them to cover so easily. I expect Tennessee to win by 3 scores, at least.
Yeah, NC State, they allowed 6.3 yards per carry to Western Carolina early in that game. I mean, that's just straight up terrible. I mean, I have some keys, which I'll get to, but my first key is Dylan Sampson. I'm just giving him the football early. Honestly, screw Nico. I mean, in all honesty, from what I can tell from NC State, screw Nico, hand the ball off Dylan Sampson about 100 times. I mean, that's what I would do. That D-line was just not good last weekend. They just weren't. Now, I will give NC State some credit. In the fourth quarter, they did turn it around. They outscored Western Carolina 21-0 in the fourth quarter. The defense looked much better in the fourth quarter. The offense looked pretty good. Like Britt said, the Concepcion or whatever his name is, that guy looked solid. Waters was able to get a big 70-yard touchdown run as well. So they looked better in the fourth. But ultimately, if I had to give some keys for Tennessee, I would say 1, run the football. I mean, it's going to be really simple. Run the ball. NC State matches up definitely much better in the secondary than obviously UTC did, but still nothing stellar, nothing that I think should scare Tennessee fans. Number 2 is don't ruin the hype of Nico. I think number 1 is kind of screw Nico to an extent, not that he's gonna mess up, but just like don't ask him to do anything crazy. I think you can do enough just running the football to beat NC State pretty handily. I don't think you should ask Nico to do anything. The last thing you need him doing is trying to force a football, throwing a couple picks, and then ruins his confidence before he even gets to the big dogs. I think that would absolutely suck. So run the football, honestly, times 2 for key 1 and key 2. And then key 3 is defensively pressure. Pressure Grayson McCall all day long. Send pressure all the time. Don't even give your secondary a chance to get beat. Honestly, if you're sending pressure, press the receivers. Tell them it's coming out quick. If they get beat deep, that's on the D line. The D line's got to get home. It's really simple.
That is where Tennessee has succeeded under Tim Banks. You blitz and you run man coverage. That is how Tennessee's defense has succeeded in the past. That's what you need to see. I love those keys, Joseph. I love them. I eat them up.
I dug deep, honestly, into these games. NC State, reviewed Vandy, reviewed Tennessee. I tried to get all the information that I could. I think that you could see a decent game here. I'm not very thrilled. I was surprised the line was as low as it was yesterday or Sunday. I think when I went to go make bets Sunday, Tennessee was 7-point favorites, I think, on Sunday is what I got in, and I'll pull that up in just a minute to make sure. I was shocked. I'm like I said, I don't think Nico is a top 5 quarterback in the nation yet. I wasn't, they played UTC. I'm not even hyping up Tennessee, but to me, it was just all about NC State looked terrible. When you go back and watch the game, like they just didn't look good. I don't understand, honestly, how they're still ranked 24th. I thought they personally should have fell out. They didn't. Tennessee will have a ranked win under their belt if if it's assuming that they win this game. So if I had to give a score prediction, I don't see this NC State defense getting a lot of stops, and I don't see this NC State offense scoring a lot. Just simply time of possession, NC State's going to run the ball. I'll go UT 38, NC State 14 for final score prediction. I don't think this NC State team is good. I think UT rolls.
Well, you can believe it or not. I have 38-13 Tennessee.
Wow. Okay, gotcha. So we're right there. We're right there in the same book.
And my biggest prediction for the year, I think Tennessee gets back to we're going to score 30 points. We're going to roll out of bed and score 30 points. It's just, can you keep teams below 30? And the reason I come to that conclusion is last year we have went from Josh Heupel saying, what can we do here? What can we do with this personnel, to what do I want to do? And that's where I think Josh Heupel is the man. Because I think once you expand Josh Heupel's mind to what do I want to do, like for me, what can I do? Right now I'm repairing my 02 4Runner. I love that car. Love it so much. That's what I can do. What do I want to do? I want to go buy a brand new one and go fast. There's a big difference. So that's where I'm at with Tennessee. I'm kind of proud of myself for that one.
Ultimately, for Tennessee, I mean, in this game, and I mean, this is kind of cliche or whatever because you say it about a lot of games, but this game will be won and lost in the trenches. If NC State shows up with a better defensive front, or maybe Tennessee just comes, looking past them, then I think you see a lot closer football game. But just from what I've seen with 1 week, I expect this to be a blowout. I mean, I'm taking the only information I have on NC State, which is one game. I didn't know that much about them preseason, had to look a lot into them the last couple of days, and that's really all I've got. But, yeah, I mean, I don't think there's a lot more there outside of I think this game's going to be won and lost in the trenches, and Tennessee's much better there, and you're going to see them roll. I mean, I really think that's really the breakdown of this game. Yeah, they're going to roll.
I think Tennessee's D-line wins you this game. Tennessee's offensive line, as much as I thought they would improve, I don't really know if they've improved at this moment in time. I mean, both of your tackles didn't play much at all in fall camp, which I think is a big factor. But your backups, your second string O line Saturday didn't look great. I mean, there was a lot of and even your starting left tackle Lance Hurd, he missed a few blocks. So keep an eye on the O line, but I do think they improved. But right now, I don't think they're in their full form. So I think Tennessee's D line is the deal breaker in this game.
Yeah, I agree. We already kind of talked about our bets last week. I went 2 for 5. Britt went 3 for 5. Not our best weeks on this podcast for sure. But nonetheless, we're back with week 2. We're back with week 2 bets. Britt, do you have your 5 ready to go?
Almost, yeah.
Okay, I've got my 5 ready to go.
I've got them
okay,
right here, actually.
By all means, go ahead.
Okay, give me this team right here. Shout out to Iowa, the Hawkeyes. Put up 40 points in week 1. Give me Iowa over Iowa State money line.
Like that?
That's money right there. Give me. Okay, this might be cheap. You might veto this one. Give me Utah money line over Baylor. I think they're 14-point favorites.
I'll give you that one. I've got a 9.5 today, so it's okay. We'll let them both slide.
Give me Kansas. Kansas, I think they were 22 ranked last week. I don't know about the AP poll came out today. Only 5.5-point favorites over Illinois. Give me Kansas money line.
Okay.
Give me Tennessee -8. That's where it was this morning. I figured that was fair. Tennessee -8.
It's fair.
And give me USC -28.5. USC figured out how to play defense. USC -28.5 against Utah State.
Yeah. I like those, Britt. I've made a 6-pick parlay, which I'll start out with this one. You can parlay this, Britt. Don't count this one in the actual 5 though. First pick is going to be Kentucky money line. They're 8.5-point favorites against South Carolina. They're going to win this game at -340. That's a steal. Get in on that 100%. Parlay that with something they're going to win. South Carolina sucked. They're going to win the football game. Starting now with my 5. Like I said, I parlayed all of these though. Bet some unders last week. I missed on all 3 of them. So I'm going back to the under this week. Give me under 50.5 Texas and Michigan. So under 50.5 Texas and Michigan. Oklahoma State plays Arkansas. That is a little bit less than a touchdown spread. Give me Oklahoma State money line. Arkansas did look good, but Oklahoma State just looked better last week. Give me the money line there. I bet on Colorado last week. Going against them this week, give me Nebraska money line against Colorado. Like I said, I made these on Sunday. So my odds may be slightly better. I've got Tennessee -7 against NC State. Same thing as Britt, same reason I had in the pod. Going there. And then Kansas State money line against Tulane as well. If you parlay all 6 of those together, put $15 on it today, right now, you'll win $112. So, I mean, look, I feel really confident in all those games. Nebraska looked good. I think they beat Colorado. South Carolina's the worst team in the SEC. They look terrible. I really liked all those games that I bet. I bet with 6 really confident games there. So just how I'm feeling after week 1 is pretty good.
Looks good to me.
Yeah. So the bets, the vibes, everything's up. Except for, I guess our betting is not up. We went 2 for 5 on the pod, but Britt won big time money last weekend. I won decent money. So up in our pockets, at least, maybe not on the pod, but still a productive week 1 of college football. It's back. We've made it. It was everything week 1 could have been. Everything it could have been, it was for me. Like I enjoyed watching football. After Vanderbilt game, I just came home and just enjoyed watching football with friends and family. Like I really just enjoyed the day. So what a joy it is to have football back.
Absolutely. I'm happy for you, brother.
Happy for you. Also, let me say this on this podcast. Me and my dad talked about this a little bit, and I wasn't going to say anything, but I changed my mind. I want to get this on air. There were some people that texted me at the Vanderbilt game and said, enjoy the win, happy for you. Those texts from certain people are acceptable. I love you. I love you so much. There are people that I've texted, Britt Dillard, Cody Hutcherson, texted them after the Alabama-Tennessee game a couple of years ago and said, man, I hope y'all personally enjoy this. I was not happy Tennessee won the game, just was happy my friends hope they personally enjoyed it. Got a couple of those texts. One from Britt came, one from, shout out my boy Donald. Donald Davis sent me a text saying enjoy. Cody sent me a text saying enjoy. All those not coming after you three at all. If you three are listening right now, stop. Harrison Davis, another one. No, you don't count.
Yeah,
However, a couple of you texted me and was like, oh, a great Power 4 win for Vanderbilt. Really great win. Great win. And something just tells me that has some underlining racism for not racism, but some undertone. It's got some racist undertone to it. If you're getting the analogy that I'm putting up, there's just some undertone, like you're saying, Vanderbilt always sucks. Good job finally winning a game. That was just the mood on some of your texts. If you're gonna send me those texts, that's why I didn't respond to you. If you didn't get a response from me and you sent me that text, I took it that way. So it's really simple. Maybe it's just my own perception becoming reality and you didn't mean it like that. But the way that you worded it was pretty much how I took it. I mean, that's just the only way to say it. If you're going to send me those texts, save the time. I don't care about you. I didn't spend my time after the game texting Tennessee fans saying, did you see the Vandy game? I just been enjoying it with my dad and Ian Young, who was there with the game with me. I just spent time enjoying it, talking about the game, talking about how much fun I had. I don't need your congratulations text. Vanderbilt, the revolution starts now. I'll be so happy when you can't send those texts anymore. Like, oh, Vanderbilt finally got the Power 4 win. I'll be happy because the revolution is coming and I'll believe in it. That's the way I needed to end this podcast. Anchor down. Screw you if you texted me about Vanderbilt finally won a game. Screw you. Vanderbilt's back. Doors on top forever. Anchor down. Shout out to the boys who meant it, though. Y'all mean a lot to me. The doors are coming. The Vols might be coming too. I don't know. I don't even like to say that, but I know for sure the Vols are coming.
We're here. The Vols are here. We ain't going nowhere.
Yeah, I'm a big Vanderbilt's back guy. I love to say we're back. However, Vanderbilt's not back. We're not. Vanderbilt's not back. This is something you've never seen before. Vanderbilt's here, and we're here for the first time ever. We're not back. We're here for the first time ever. I can't wait to see it. It's a new age. It's a new era. I am drawing conclusions now. I believe this was a program-changing win. I think you see a different Vanderbilt moving forward. They did something I haven't seen them haven't seen them do in 61 games. I believe in this thing. Anchor down, baby. I believe in it.
Go Vols. See you guys next week.
Y'all have a good one. Enjoy football.